pick Steve Harvey as the representative for all things black? Steve Harvey, let's keep this shit funky. Steve Harvey is on his third marriage. His third wife was mistress to his second wife. Yet, black people have anointed this the oracle when it comes to black dating. This nigga wrote a book on dating. You on your third wife, homie? With all respect, why can't we pick a that know what he's talking about?
Think about how quickly he moved forward from me to Marjorie. That was disturbing. With all the emails and the text messages and the different things that were that I was finding out about, I thought the least that he could do, make me whole at the end of it. He left. He just left, walked out the door. Once he realized that I was going to divorce him, he walked out the door. He had a shoulder bag. He walked out. Went right to New York, to our apartment that we had there, which I never got to see, by the way, but... And then she joined him there. Marjorie joined him there. Never an apology. Steve never said that he was sorry.
Check, well, listen, who cares? If Steve Harvey writes 1,000 books on dating, the real person who should be dishing advice on finessing is Mrs. Marjorie Harvey, because that woman found a lick and held on to him for dear life, secured her children and grandchildren, and made sure they have a future lifetime of wealth. Seeing the way Lori Harvey moves from man to man, folk have been wondering exactly what her mama had been teaching her. And if you need answers, you better ask Steve's ex-wife Mary Lee, because she has been on Ma's neck for years, revealing all of the messy details about the chaotic time when she and Marjorie were tussling over Steve, and from the way she started out till she finally got Steve in her back pocket, showering her with the best gifts money can buy. Really shows that at the end of the day, Marjorie and Steve were absolutely made for one another. Steve used both Mary Lee and his first wife Marcia as placeholders until his career really took off and the money started coming in. And from her corner, Mari was doing exactly the same thing now from Seven, the time that she was about 18 years old. Lady Heroin. Yep, that's what the streets call her. I did not make that up, y'all, anyway. Marjorie was out here slinging that cookie to drug dealers. And she wasn't dealing with the small Tim. Oh no, Marjorie knew that she wanted the luxe life. She wanted the fancy clothes, the luxury restaurants, and the expensive vacations. And she only bothered with men who could afford to offer her that life. And when she got with big-time substance dealer Jim Townsend, Marjorie knew that he was mad married. In fact, he had told her that he ain't want any more kids because the ones he had were enough for him. But Jim really underestimated what Margie would do to get that bag. She continued to see him, and once he started getting a little too comfortable, Marjorie stopped taking them birth control pills and didn't tell Jim a thing. So imagine how widey surprised he was when she showed up one day with a smile on her face and a bun in the oven, while she was with Jim. Marjorie really got herself tied up in the Memphis doctor scene. And that was when people started calling her Lady Heroin. She had to drop out from the University of Memphis because her reputation was so bad she couldn't even face continuing classes. And when she was pregnant with their second child, Jim found out that the feds were really coming for him. And this time, he wasn't going to be able to get out of it. They had solid evidence of him moving weight. And even worse, they had proof of his brother and Marjorie's involvement in the organization. So he decided to cop a plea deal so that Marjorie and his brother could move on with their lives.
Well, they did indict her because, I made a deal with him not to indict. You got to be mindful. At this particular time that I was got busted, if you want to call it, get busted.
Okay.
They showed me, drug transactions between Marjorie and people that I knew they weren't lying. The people that, she had sold drugs to and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, she 8 months pregnant. We got a 5-year-old daughter, so there was no way whatever I could do to keep her from going to prison or being indicted. And see, I know how those feds.
Jim was ultimately sentenced to life UNL. Then 5 years after he was put under lock and key, Marjorie dried her eyes and started looking for the next big catchword on the street. She may have even dated NBA player Todd Day, who helped her purchase a club owned by Jim as a gift for Marjorie, but she couldn't manage it and ended up having to sell it again. One thing we do know is that she didn't stay single for long because she got hitched to one of the infamous Wood brothers. That's right, she and Darnell Woods welcomed daughter LRI not long after they had their daughter. The feds came looking for Darnell too and found evidence about their family's substance operation. He was indicted and sent to the John for 37 months. And once again, Marjorie wasn't going to be sitting around waiting for no convicted felon to come home, so she quickly got a divorce from him and was ready to move on to the next man. Listen, everyone has got a past, but having 2 ex-cons as husbands doesn't happen by accident. I'm just saying now Marge is about that luxurious life, but it was starting to look a bit dangerous and unstable. And that's when she turned all of her attention to the comedian, always dressed as a pimp, when she got divorced from Darnell in the early 2000s. Steve Harvey was everywhere. He was still riding off of the massive wave doing the Kings of Comedy. And he was really bringing in some big money. Unlike the first time when they first met when he was a struggling comedian doing local comedy clubs. But Marjorie couldn't just come into his circle like that because Steve was still married to Mary Lee. So allegedly, she started dating Steve's bodyguard, Big Boom. Steve was never really her type to begin with, but with the hard times hitting, Marjorie realized that the grass was greener on Steve's side, so she and Big Boom's relationship started to fizzle out. And slowly but surely, she succeeded in positioning herself to be on Steve's radar. Marjorie rekindled the old crush that he had on her, and Steve kept her well taken care of while she was happily playing the mistress. And even after Steve's second wife, Mary, found out about her, Marjorie did not budge. Mary ultimately knew she was in a losing battle, and after all, you can't steal a man that doesn't want to be stolen. Steve was obsessed with Marjorie, and the person who suffered because of that was Mary, once he turned Marjorie into his main chick. Steve cut off Mary completely and started the process of divorcing her. Marjorie even got so bold that she would call Steve's home, knowing that Mary would pick up, just to let her know that she was with Steve, and there was nothing Mary could do about it.
I think he did see her as the best image for what he was trying to do, you see. And so, but who knows his mindset, but because like I said, she ain't just that bright now, but she's shrewd.
But she ain't the brightest person in the room.
No, but she's shrewd. I got to give her that.
Okay.
And
And she was excellent at taking husbands.
Yeah, the record speaks for itself.
Even those who were no longer minors to take Steve's last name because it was definitely going to bring better opportunities for them. She even persuaded Steve to get custody of his youngest son with Mary. And to this day, Mary has still not been able to rekindle a solid relationship with her only child, Weon. Steve, on the other hand, knew the type of past that Margie had before she got with him. And even with him being such a big public figure, he started helping her clean up her image and those issues with her past and settle a lot of those debts that she had from her time on the Memphis scene. And trust to this day, people love to drag. Miss Marjorie, quote, sounds like she's been passed around way more than a collection plate. She's not a gold digger. She's one of the best cons I've ever seen, end quote. Also, quote, I'm glad someone is telling the truth about Marjorie. She acts so brand new as if she wasn't from the streets. Now people can understand why Laurie is a round-away girl, like her mama, end quote. And another quote, no matter what she wears, she can't cover up who she really is, end quote. But what do you guys think about Marjorie? Is she just playing the game or is she a real kingpin?